Imagine one day if somebody cracks the code on it, how many more people are going to be like succeeding in life and business?
Getting coaches was by far also the biggest advancement and biggest, I was always doing okay, but then when I got a coach and I got several coaches, I just skyrocketed in performance. And the reason being is I'm a big believer in
I looked at your YouTube channel and your videos, how you edit them, man, they look really good. How do you balance being informative and engaging while keeping things practical and tactical?
I will tell you a very funny and crazy secret. Very funny and crazy secret. One, know your material really well. I'm in and out of the system all day long when it comes to high-level black coding, any AI automation stuff. I'm doing what I'm building myself.
So what you've done on a physiological level, you've created such a strong synapse in your brain with that association that any time after that you wanted to make a video, it was like,
I believe that there is going to be a rise of AI conductors and the people that have to figure out how to conduct AI and how to kind of navigate and make them all work together.
welcome back to another episode on the HighLevel Experience Podcast. Now listen, if you've ever felt like you're duct taping your tech stack together or drowning in automation chaos, today's guest is somebody you'll want to pay attention to. He is the guy agencies call when their automated system is actually just a glorified inbox. He's the founder of Rapid Active Marketing and the Vibe Coding Incubator, and he's the brains behind the Automated Marketer, a YouTube channel where he dishes out no fluff tutorials on marketing automation, AI, and high-level builds that actually make money. Now, don't let the cool branding fool you. This guy's walk the walk. He's two-time high-level gold SaaS award winner, built automations that help scale multiple diamond and platinum SaaSpreneurs, and even led 3 billion plus in client portfolios back in his corporate days. That's a billion with a B, yeah. He's also a creator of the #1 rated Udemy course on high level. And when he's not building revenue-generating automations, he is mentoring people how to vibe code. Very exciting. Please welcome to the show, Nuno Tavares.
All right, well, thanks for having me, Vit. I feel like I'm a celebrity just being on the show. Long time coming. I know you've got some of my friends on here, so I'm pretty excited to be here.
Yeah, no, indeed. Yeah, look, I mean, everybody's a celebrity that's on this show. I enjoy interviewing people, and people come from all walks of life. Successful SaaSpreneurs all the way down to agencies who are just getting started, and everybody's got a story to tell, right? So I guess to kick things off, what I'm curious to know, and today's interview is kind of unique in a way where, and this is for you guys listening as well, me and Nuno, we've never met. So a lot of people on this podcast before, I've met with them, I had some meetings with them and stuff. Nuno, I mean, we never met. So this is going to be interesting. I've done my research, but from your own perspective, I'd like to know, how did you get to this point?
Oh, wow. That's a pretty loaded question. Man, I'll start with, I don't think I should have ever been here. So the funny part about it is that I came, believe it or not, from a corporate background. So I worked 25 years in corporate. Probably about 15 of those years, I worked a side hustle job. And the reasons of me getting into it are really crazy. So believe it or not, I come from a pretty poor background. I mean, I came from a different country. I'm actually in the country I came from. I'm in Lisbon right now. Not Lisbon, in an island called Madeira. It's a Portuguese peninsula, but I'll tell you,
one of the craziest airports in the world.
With all the strikes, it probably wasn't the best to go, but actually there for the Web Summit, which is like a pretty virtual event. But the reason I take you there is because that's where it all started. My family we kind of left Lisbon, Portugal, and we moved to the United States right when I was about the age of 5. I never even met my dad until we moved to the States. When we moved to the States, we fell into some pretty hard times and literally living in a pretty bad area. My parents couldn't get jobs because they couldn't speak English. So they were getting some pretty bad jobs, like working at factories all day long and some pretty crazy bad stuff. And then finally, over time, I mean, and this is like living in the car, not having enough money for food to eat, and really working our way out of like where we were to basically moving into the nice area of that neighborhood and growing from there. But the funny thing is that my dad, for a long time, used to work in bars and restaurants as a waiter and a bartender. And my mom was working these factory jobs, like I mentioned. And finally, my dad decided to open up his own company. And my mom decided to become a travel agent. And then from there, she really took off. And then we slowly started getting out. If anybody's ever been through that, where you start really bad off, and then there's no way to go but up, right? So after a while, we just worked their way out of pretty much just the bad situation we were in to get into a better situation. Had a couple of ups and downs, and we kind of went that way. My mom became really successful. became an office manager, started managing people, and just started really taking off. I started doing little side hustles even by the age of 13. I started work when I was 13 as a busboy and started earning money and everything else. My father became an entrepreneur, and honestly to say, I became not a very great entrepreneur, real incredible salesman, probably one of the worst businessmen I've ever met in my life to this day. I love them dearly. You know what I'm saying? He was a great man, but man, he just did not have a really good entrepreneurial sense of like how to just keep money. He made money. He just didn't know how to keep it. And it got us back into trouble. Like he kind of fell into a pattern and a rhythm. So at some point in time, probably closer to 16 or 17, I said, I will never, ever become an entrepreneur. After watching that, I was like, forget this. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go into the corporate world and I'm just going to work my way up, which is what I did. Worked all the way up, worked in Fortune 100 companies like Bank of America, Capital One, worked in hospitals, worked in just operations management and sales and all kinds of different opportunities and positions. But then kind of just worked my way up to an executive level, managed a whole commercial services team, won a bunch of awards. It was really good. But sometime during that, my father did get cancer the first time around, and it was like pretty severe. And at the time, again, my father was an entrepreneur. My mom only had that real steady job with the only steady income, and it just wasn't enough. Anybody going through that, especially in the States, cancer is incredibly brutal, not only on the body, but like physically, mentally, and financially. Financially, bills can run up to, you
guys have it. Yeah, you guys have it tough. You get charged for everything, right?
Well, pretty much. And what's wild is like, you'll get $100,000 bill at the end of the year. That's how expensive cancer can be. And then it kind of forced us to think of other ways to make money. Now, when you're working in the corporate space, you are capped. You are capped at whatever bonuses you're at. And I made bonus all the years that I've ever worked corporate. The problem is that you capped at the bonus. You can't make any more. So you had no choice, but at some point in time to break away and go do your own thing. And then that's what I ended up doing. I ended up doing a little side hustle, everything from building websites to fixing cell phones in people's. Now, the funniest part was fixing cell phones. Believe it or not, I got certified in fixing cell phones. It was always good in my hands. And this was when cell phones first rolled out. And I was showing up to people from a corporate job in a suit and tie at their house, like with a little kit and like fixing cell phones with a suit and tie. And people were like, what is it? They thought they were being audited by the bank. It was like hilarious. I mean, and I did that for a while. And I just kept taking these side projects on, everything from website design to selling dish services for a dish network. I mean, like literally anything that I could do to create a little bit of side hustle and make money to help my parents out at the time. And also while living on my own and doing my own thing. So that led to agency work and finally going from building websites to then looking into automations. And then once I got into automations, I really found a home there because it kind of fit along with what I was doing with work. And then it was like learning one system after another system after another system. And it was from everything from like email and active campaigns, setting up Google, all the way to working WordPress sites and designing those and building those out. And then active campaign came along, then Keep came along, then ClickFunnels came along. And I just kept jumping in and learning all the systems the best that I could. And I could always really good with tech. And then just like one thing took off to another. And then my little side hustle turned into a very consistent 6-figure like side hustle that, you know, I was operating very, very easily, really word of mouth. I couldn't advertise. That's the funniest thing was every time I tried to advertise, like I would get shut down by the company I was working for. And I'll never forget it. The first time I tried was I was in ClickFunnels and they said right from the state, you just send out a post about how you're at ClickFunnels and everybody should be here and blah, 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 and take your affiliate link and make your first affiliate commission. Well, I post that link on LinkedIn. And within the 3 minutes of posting, I got 7 calls from HR and one from my like higher end VP saying, take that post down. You don't represent that company, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, and then I got called into the office. They actually threatened to fire me because they said they didn't get clearance to have a secondary job out there. And then I had to get it finally approved just to keep the agency that was already running for years because they found out that I was doing this on the side, which is crazy. So I couldn't be on social media. I couldn't advertise physically, and I couldn't make any kind of organic and social posts. I couldn't even blog, for Christ's sake. It was hovered and watched. And it's funny, if you ever look at my YouTube channel, June was when I first officially got released of all the NDAs that I was part of. I quit in January, and then June was the official NDA release. And you'll see literally day 1 of June was YouTube. And that's only got like a 2-year, 3-year kind of a mark to it. But that's how it was. That's how insanely tough it was. But a lot of my business, like I said before, always came from referrals. People were just, I do a good job, they refer more, and then I never ran ads or anything else. It was kind of wild when I broke into the wild and finally was able to run ads. Then things were, or advertise on YouTube, then things came very, very different. But that's a wild little journey in all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I gave you a very open-ended question, kind of bit of a backstory. Lots of takeaways from it, right? The big one that I can kind of relate to, it's the dedication to earning your own money from a young age. There's something special to it, either by means of your parents pushing you down that way. Hey, if you want to buy this nice T-shirt, like when I was growing up, like all the kids were like, it was like the era of in the '90s skateboarding and breakdancing and Vans and Quicksilver and all those cool clothings. And my parents didn't have money, so like I had to go and paint benches or something. I think similar, like 13, 12, 13, 14, like that sort of age. So I can relate to that. And there's something, I think it's a good education for any kids. Just learn how you make your own money. Learn that to make money, you have to put some effort. So yeah, from your point, obviously you guys had it even tougher. So there's a lot of persistence, resistance, and just building a bit of a thick skin, I guess, in that process. Would you say that's something that carried on for you up until this day, like the dedication to hard work? Or
Well, yeah, but I think if you look back, and you and I have very similar friends of like all the really high performing entrepreneurs out there. I don't think I've met one that doesn't have I would say like a really crazy origin story, whether it was like coming from nothing or having everything, losing it, and then having to regain it back, or having that just initial kind of inertia. I think it's momentum. I think it's like I look at my kids now, and like my big promise to myself was my kids would never feel the pain that I did. But then part of me like always
mm,
wonders, is that like the right thing? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I go back and I'm like, oh, let him feel it a little bit. And I always tell my wife, she's like, why, mom? I'm like, let him feel it a little bit. Let him work for things a little bit harder. Let him know that this was a mediocre job, or they did okay, they didn't do the greatest thing ever. Because back then things were just like, I don't know. I think it was just like more of a social element. It was harder. It was just harder. Everything was harder. Nothing was as easy accessible. Everything had to like be learned in a different way too. Like, I mean, I know you age yourself a little bit. I'm kind of was in that same '90s era, and I can tell you that, like, when you had to work in something in tech, the answer was not easily found. Like, you would have to scour like forums and groups, and you would pray to God that somebody had the exact same thing that you had and that was going through it. So it'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning, and finally, after 147 forums and 17 different reading through emails and all this other, you would find the one button you needed to click in order to make everything work. You know, it's like, I mean, it sounds dramatic, but it really was that bad. And I think it made you like search for the answers a little harder. And I think I do it now too with YouTube, because whenever I don't find the answer I want in something that I'm watching, I go and find it somewhere else. And now I've just come to a big conclusion of getting coaches was by far also the biggest advancement and biggest like I was always doing okay, but then when I got a coach and I got several coaches, like I just skyrocketed in performance. And the reason being is I'm a big believer in like getting to the fastest solutions the fastest way possible. And sometimes it's learning from the best that do whatever they do the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the best at
yeah,
everything. And if I have to learn something, instead of now scouring through the internet and going through, I'm going to go to the top guy and go through there. But I think it's the same due diligence that I had. And I think that everybody should really recognize and take a minute to appreciate that. Like I said, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I know that are wildly successful are very persistent and very straight out and like always moving forward. They're not ever looking back. They're not really regretful. They're just like super aggressive and like getting to the next step. And I understand every now and again people go through burnout, but the one that last and linger are the ones that are like super persistent, super committed. And I think that once they hit a plateau and they're happy with it, they know how to stay on that plateau. Like again, I've been very fortunate the last probably say 5 years, meeting some of the most incredible entrepreneurs ever and just having crazy discussions with them. And I'm telling you, there's always that one similar messed up background or damaged somehow. And everybody's kind of screwed up somewhere, but it makes them incredible human beings and it makes them like so incredible to talk to. Cause I have a lot more respect for people that have grinded to get where they are a little bit. And I'm not saying grind is the way to go or the hustle culture that, people were promoting back then. I don't even know if it was hustle. You just work hard. I think now there's ways to make it easier, but staying persistent and grinding through the negatives and the bad times and everything else really get people to be wildly successful. I mean, wildly successful. And I think that's just like the secret sauce. I don't think I'm any different. I don't think my story's the worst. I mean, you should hear some of the stories of the people I grew up with. But some of those guys are like, one is that owns billions of real estate, and he came literally from nothing. That guy, while I was eating out of canned fruit, that guy was eating out of trash cans. So that's how intense his upbringing was. You know what I'm saying? And
it
he
could
made
always
it.
be worse. Yeah.
There could always
Could
be
always,
worse. Yeah.
yeah. So you mentioned your YouTube channel. I've got a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. I mean, vibe coding is one of the big ones. I really want to dive into that because I know you and Murray, you guys been at it for a while. And anyway, but with YouTube channel, I'm curious because I looked at your YouTube channel and your videos, how you edit them, man, kudos to you. They look really good. Do you do that yourself, or do you got somebody that edits that
No,
for you?
I have an incredibly talented, his name is LA. He's been with me for now going on 2 years, and he's been growing with us, right? So he started off like we really needed a lot of work. And it's actually funny, if you go back 2 years ago, videos look vastly different and his skill set has actually increased. We've paid for lessons, equipment, computers, whatever he needs in order to do it. He's out from the Philippines. I don't want to share him too much because he's mine and I don't want to share him, but he's been with me for over 2 years and he believes in the vision, what we're trying to do with the YouTube channel. I say we, because it's a small team, not very big. And we're really, again, I kind of told you about my dad, right? And I kind of told you about the lifestyle that I live and the fact that we couldn't get the answers that we wanted. There were no self-help. There was no YouTube. There was no nothing. I mean, my father grinded through crap and he didn't know that he needed help. You were just kind of told, put your chin up, put your best foot forward and just don't whine about it. And there was no YouTube. There was no nothing. You screwed up a business. There was nobody out there. There was no coaches to hire. There was all this pressure and resistance of being successful. And I made a promise to myself, probably when my father first got cancer, kind of tribute to him and just to ensure that nobody else is out there struggling. We've made a ridiculous effort to try to make education as free as possible and to try to get anybody that's really struggling out there to be able to just do something at home part-time with very little to no money and start it. I don't know if Matt Sino and I, really good friend of mine,
Yep.
mentor, friend, very close to Matt. And we started a small little series that's called Start From Scratch, where we literally did everything from building a website with zero cash, building like a business with zero money, zero advertising, you're using AI at zero. And I'll get into vibe coding in a second and why I think it's such a powerful thing. And even everything's just, so there's no excuse out there that people will say, well, I didn't have the answer. I didn't have the support. I didn't have any money. And we wanted to like remove all of that and provide as much education as humanly possible out there to people. That's why a lot of my groups that we'll talk about are all free, because I really do have a strong belief is if I can get somebody to be successful, one, I can have impact on the world at a highest level possible, because that just creates a massive butterfly effect. I mean, I can't tell you, every time we go to a high level event, oh man, thank you. Your videos are so helpful. That warms my heart more than anything else. And it feels like I'm having an impact in the universe. And I want to keep having that impact probably at the highest level. And in order to do that, you need to make money so you can have more impact. That's the other thing I learned early on. We could always try at a micro level, but I want to get to the macro. In order to get the macro, you just got to keep making money. And that's part of the goal there. But I'm a big believer in nobody should go through the struggles that I had, because there is easier solutions and easier way. So beyond the commitment of getting out there and just letting everybody know that anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. The mom with 3 kids doing it by herself, the father who's struggling, that doesn't know how to make ends meet, the person who's fed up at their job, is maxed out, doesn't feel like they're growing, the individual that is dyslexic, like I am, officially dyslexic. This is not like a joke, kind of a dyslexic, which everybody likes to joke about, like officially dyslexic, switching numbers, a person who just didn't have the right education growing up because he just didn't have the opportunities to get there. Whatever the case is, I want to make it like YouTube became such a channel for us to really put ourselves out there. It was one of the best investments to this day that I'm so incredibly happy about. And we were producing about 2 videos a week and we're throwing it out there. Now, I'm not that guy that's going to go in there, make $10,000 in 2 days. No, I'm the guy that's going to show you how to do things. It's a how-to channel. We show you how to make money sometimes. We mostly focus on how things operate and work. And we're trying to get the education out there, because I am telling you though, for anybody not really getting into technology, and unless you're in like the physical labor jobs, like the plumbers, electricians, and people that are going to need that skill set, because that population is actually getting smaller and smaller, the AI in the tech world is getting bigger and bigger. It's one or the other. And if I can help you at least on the tech side, do all that, or if you're an electrician and you still need help on your marketing and building things out, then I would feel compelled. I mean, I'm pushing people forward. And that's kind of been the model, moving people and businesses forward. This has been my motto for forever. This is probably going to be my motto until the day I die, because the one thing that none of us can do as we're doing all this is stay still. Because the second you get, I don't know how to do this, or I don't have the right logo, or I don't have money, or I don't know how to operate a website, or I can't buy a domain. Once all that nonsense kind of subsides and you just understand that you just got to do it, like everything is literally there for the right picking if you just persistent and consistent in your goals. But that's how the YouTube channel formed. It was just like, I kept teaching people the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is like lunacy. It really is. I mean, it's part of being, what is it? It's crazy as doing the same thing over and over again. So we finally just started doing all the videos that people wanted, and we just took off, and we're going to keep on doing it for as long as I can, hopefully, which is a very long time. So.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers, as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Pete sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, Stand Out From the Pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/vid or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. gohighlevel.com/vid or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results. Yeah. The channel looks great. The editing's awesome. And obviously you're a good presenter. You guys just obviously check out Nuno's channel. I highly recommend it. It's always look up to other channels who are way ahead of like mine and looking at, cool, what do they do? What am I not doing? And just learning little things. But yeah, I think the big one is to hire the right person for that. So that's definitely like for me, that's the next thing I definitely have to tap into. Curious, so just on that topic, you know, like the channel is like known for no fluff, real talk approach. How do you balance being informative and engaging while keeping things practical and tactical?
Oh man, that's a good question. I wish I knew the answer. I don't know if I figured out that formula yet.
Like I see you like on the camera and it's like a good flow. I don't know if you're scripted or you're just going from a just topic.
Well, that I will tell you a very funny and crazy secret. Very funny and crazy secret. So one, I can't read off of scripts again because dyslexia really makes it challenging. Makes it challenging. So it's really hard. The second the words start, these just start switching, it becomes so a lot of my stuff is unscripted, but I'll tell you how I got really good at unscripted. One, know your material really well, which I do. I'm in and out of the system all day long when it comes to high-level black coding, any AI automation stuff. I'm doing what I'm building myself. But I will tell you, I was incredibly bad in front of the camera and the funniest way to get not bad at the camera. So I decided one day that I said to my wife, I'm going to send my wife a love note. For anybody that has a spouse, first of all, if you're an entrepreneur, you should literally treat them to goodness every single day, because being a wife of an entrepreneur is by far one of the most challenging. We're absolutely mad. We're absolutely out of our minds. And the up and down swings that happen in the entrepreneurial space, they deserve like an Academy Award or something.
I'm laughing because I know my wife, I taught her how to do the editing and the script. So I know she's going to be watching this. So I'm just laughing because that's so true. Yeah.
And I was like, well, how can I make her, because here was my fear. My fear was, one, I was working 2 jobs. So think about it. In the morning, I was working the 9 to 5 corporate. I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even 4, do 2 hours of entrepreneurial work, start at 6, get to the office by 8, by 9, work literally from 9 to 5, go in closets and take calls from clients that were part of my, sometimes in the bathrooms. I'm not exaggerating. This is literally my lifestyle. Go home from 5 to 6, spend time with the family from 7 to 8, maybe 1 to 2 hours a day. And then after I put the kids to bed, I was working from like 9 all the way to 12. And that was like, I did this for like years. It was insane. And at one point in time, like, relationships get really tough. Money was tight because I was supporting my parents and I was supporting our household. And it became very, very difficult. So I was like, well, how can I make this better? So I went to a workshop and I met a coach, and it was all about kind of creating a really crazy balance in life. We believed in creating a balance between your marriage, your kids, your body, and your work, and more importantly, your spirit, and kind of making that all together. And it became something really funny. And he says, well, what's going on? He says, well, I feel like I'm not communicating with my wife enough. I don't feel she feels appreciated, all this other stuff. He's, so starting today, and this is going to help you in the future. And he goes, I can't tell you how this is going to happen. I want you to send a 30-second video message every single day, and you got to stay consistent for at least 180 days. So
send it to who?
To my wife. It's just a 30-second online, like, recorded set. And it's so funny, if you watch any of my, you know how your videos automatically record up to the clouds if you have one of them. So you go back, there's like a gazillion, there's like hundreds of videos. So I started sending 30 seconds, and I keep saying 30 minutes, 30 seconds to my wife every single day for the first 2 weeks. The second week comes by, she goes up to me, she looks teary-eyed. She's, are you dying? Like, completely serious. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not that I know of. I'm like, do you know something that I don't? She's like, are you dying? And I'm like, I'm not dying. I'm like, why would you ask me something like that? She's like, you keep sending me these messages, and it's all about the good times, what you appreciate and everything else. And you never done anything like that before. So I'm terrified. Or is something wrong? Are you mad? And I'm like, no, I just wanted to share your appreciation, and that's it. She never responded to any of these, mind you. 180 days went by, never responded to any of them. Just a little harder, a little like that. That was about all I got. So 180 days go on, and I go on a little further, probably all the way up for a full year. The full year stops, and I'm like, okay, good. I think I'm good. I think I put enough in the love bank here. So let me just desist. And by the way, this is a 360 something plus days of going, like, literally looking at the camera, being incredibly personal, coming up with a story, coming up with something quickly to say, and 300 and something odd days, right? And then all of a sudden, when I stop, my wife comes back and says, are you okay? I'm like, I can't win. I can't win if I do it or if I don't. But the funny thing was, the days of doing all that broke all the camera shy, because then instead of imagining I'm talking to thousands or hundreds or whatever people, I am literally talking to my wife or to the person I love on the other side. And that's where all the heartfelt messages, and that's why it's pretty rare, because when I'm excited about something, I'm excited. When I think something's crap, I think something's crap. But it removed all that fakeness. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I don't know how to describe it.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is like any habit. So what you've done on a physiological level, you've created such a strong synapse in your brain with that association that anytime after that you wanted to make a video, it was like, I'm making a video for my wife. And it's I like to use this analogy of a highway, because we're talking about business, entrepreneurship, and the grind, and like initially grind and sticking to it. But it's also about habits. And I used to be a personal trainer, and always trying to figure out, like, what's the best way to teach people how to do better habits, like eating healthier or doing something healthier, right? And then I heard it somewhere. It was like this analogy of a highway. So if you're driving and there's like lots of traffic, and that's a representation of your like an ingrained habit, and that habit is not healthy and you want to change it. And so the idea here is gonna have to like make a detour, but let's say there is no side road. You have to like chop through the fencing, make a hole through the fencing, and then maybe alongside the highway is just a big, just jungle. So you have to make your own path. So the first time you have to like make a hole through the fencing and then grab an axe and just chop some roots and just gonna go through there and walk through the bushes, and it's gonna be like painful. But then the next time you're gonna walk through that same path, you made it a little easier, and then you just keep going, and then later on you realize behind you the nature started to grow the bush and the trees back up, so you can't actually go back. And that's like the idea of how you recreate those synapses in your brain to create a new habit. I just remember that analogy because is that helpful?
No, I love the reference to the highway because that's exactly what it is. You're always looking for, instead of going through the same exit that you know you're going to get into the same traffic and it's going to be the same path. Yeah, you kind of got to make your own and like just go through it. And it is rewiring. I'm telling you, like, I know it sounds so trivial, but like that little thing, like not only made me really easy on audiences going on stage, it also make it really easy to teach, also made it really easy to just kind of go through it. And now it's like, I look for hacks like that in everything that I do. It was like going to the gym. I would always have the early morning motivation because again, my day has to start at 4 because again, my kids and the wife, I don't want to ever disturb them with like my habits. And I was starting to struggle where, ironically enough, putting my shoes was like the worst thing in the world. You get out of bed, you got to put on your shoes and everything else, but they're all the way in the closet. So what do? I put the shoes right next to the bed with the socks already in them. So then as soon as I wake up, I have no excuse. The socks and shoes are right there. It's for whatever reason that 2-second walk into the closet, I don't want to lift today. I don't want to go to the gym. And it made it something a little bit different. So yeah, whatever you have to do to hack your mind and hack your body. I mean, look, we got rid of a closet. We literally nailed up a closet and put something else in the closet because that closet used to be where we used to have all our junk food in. And my wife literally made it into a stationary closet for her crafts. Just like, we got to eliminate the shelf. It can't be here because if it's not here, it won't exist and we won't do it no matter what we try, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it really does involve that. But that comes with everything else that you have. Even a lot of the stuff that we teach, it's funny. What would you think, like in Udemy, we have over 2,500 probably something students at this point. What do you think the average completion rate of the course is?
I mean, statistically, course completions are very low in like online education, like courses. So I think your one is probably higher, out of 50%.
No, way lower than that. It's one of the best schools, right? Everybody that takes it fully, nothing but great reviews and high stars, right? We probably have, I think it's 4.8 rating or 4.7 if the answers between those two. If I would tell you that you literally can start a business, run everything from that $20 course that you would ever need to do anything inside of HighLevel, and even telling you that the average completion rate is only about 3%.
3%.
Very good interactive. Like 10 to 15% going in there, which believe it or not, the national average is. What's really scary about that is it's a $20 course and we were going to sell it for $9.97. We were actually going to keep raising the price depending on how many members you got. And then again, going back to my morals and helping as many people as that, we decided to drop to 20 like that. Nobody had the excuse of not ever to take because of the money situation. And it comes with all this craziness, right? And still only a 3% completion rate. And it boggles my mind because it's funny. People will come into the YouTube channel or they'll show up or I'll meet them in person. And it's like, oh, I got your Udemy course. And I first ask them, well, what do you like about the course? Where you stuck at? What struck out with you most? And their answer is, well, I haven't started yet. I'm like, then why'd you buy it? You know what I'm saying? So I get it because I am notoriously, but I grab a course, I will take it for what I need it for, and then I'll move on to the next course. But I am telling you, there are so many people that like will buy a course and shelf it and then say, well, HighLevel didn't work for me or vibe coding didn't work for me. And then I look at their course completion, it's like zip. And like they bought, and it's like literally sitting there. And I'm like, I don't get it. So and what's wild about that, we talk about habits, and the reason this kind of ties into that is there is really, at this day and age, no excuse other than self-motivation and getting yourself to do something, to learn how to do something, and everything else. Because there's so many videos, there's so many YouTubes, there's so many coaches, there's so many courses. And I honestly believe that there's some great courses out there that people like complain don't work, but they don't even try the things that are in there. And now, if you fully have tried and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work for you. Maybe what you tried, maybe your approach is wrong. And again, not everybody has that internal drive. But what's wild about it is everything that we give away for free, honestly, is worth it. I've paid 3 times the amount, like $400, $800, $900, $10,000 I paid for a course once. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm that desperate for that knowledge. But if I'm paying $10,000 for the course, I'm taking it super seriously. But believe it or not, 3%. We try to go in there and actually encourage people to take the course. Hey, have you tried this? Have you gone to this site? Have you gone here? Look at this video in there. Watch that video in total and it'll solve all your problems. And that's what's wild about it is, but I still believe for the 3% that are actually doing it and they're seeing massive success, but it just kind of like, my next goal is really like, how do I get people to like fully take it? Because I know if they'll take it, my systems will work. Getting customers will work. Everything that they've ever dreamed about in their businesses will work. Their money situation will change. But I just need them to take action, and motivating people to take the initial action is like my next like conquest. Like, how the hell do I do it? Like, how do I get people more motivated? How do I reward them? How do I like, I mean, literally, like, how can I reward you for learning so then you can get it?
So let's do a segue from this into vibe coding. Imagine one day, I mean, somebody's going to crack the code on this, right? I mean, this is, and again, this is, guys, these are like industry-wide statistics, like online course completions are low. I really overblown it with the 50%, but I was just being really positive. But it is known to be very low. But imagine one day if somebody cracks the code on it, how many more people are going to be like succeeding in life and business just by getting the shit. And well, the first thing is the increasing the completion rate, but then obviously then the other thing on the back of it is like taking action, which is a whole another thing. But imagine if somebody could crack the code on it, like what impact that would make. Now, if I wanted to make an app like that, up until this day, I would have to go like developers and stuff, right? Now, vibe coding, from the way I understand it, is for non-technical entrepreneurs who want to create an app. But you know a lot more about it than I do. So can you tell the guys, what is vibe coding?
So they should almost call it like flow coding, like when you're in the flow. Vibe coding was originally like created so then people like you said, normal people that don't know how to code can vibe their way or can flow their way through actually creating an app with very little coding knowledge, right? Now, the greatest thing about flowing or vibing, right? Or if you and I were out and we were having a blast and everything else, we're talking, we're jiving, we decided to, let's say you and I, because we know HighLevel, we started to build a snapshot. We would talk it through, we would build, talk through, and we would just build something pretty cool together. And all of a sudden we would launch it. Well, it's the same kind of concept of vibe coding. Vibe coding, instead of you talking to me, you're talking to the system like a person, and you're going out there and you're developing it, you're building it out. Now, the coolest thing about vibe coding, believe it or not, it's not that it's hard, because it's not. We've literally had people as young as 9-year-olds all the way to 94-year-olds, like really getting out there and doing this. And it's very impressive because as long as you know the format and the way to build, you will easily pick it up, and then you can just keep going back and forth. Now, just like everything else that I mentioned, it does require a little level of persistence and a little know-how, right? Of what to do first, what not to do. And it's more of what not to do and how to communicate. So, and I'll tell you what, look, you want to look into the future crystal ball, and I'm telling you this right now. Part of my job in working with the Fortune 100 companies was always perceiving what was either going to happen next, either in the wrong way or in the right way, and always thinking ahead of it by a year or two, right? I'm telling you right now, in the world of AI, and the biggest mistake a lot of people are making with AI is and it's not a mistake per se, it's everybody's mass producing. A lot of the really good kind of like entrepreneurs out there, they're using AI to do their jobs faster and better and more, and just more of. So we are right now in the era of mass production because we are mass producing content, and it's semi not great quality. And what's going to happen probably in the next 2 years, and I say probably because this will happen, it's just like when it happens, I'm not exactly sure, is we're going to go from this mass production cycle to this mass personalization wave. And the mass personalization wave is people are going to start pushing back and they're going to say, this is AI. I don't want AI to do this. I want you to do this. And it's, well, how do you leverage AI to do your job and not make it look like AI? And then how do you make it personalized enough for it fits Nuno, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't feel like it's part of the AI like mechanism and universe, right? And if you want to get ahead of the market for the next 2 years, I'm telling you this right now, I believe in my heart of hearts. I've talked to analysts. I've done millions of interviews with people with AI. We are going to go from mass production to mass personalization. And the people that start mastering mass personalization, and the reason why vibe coding is the path to do that is like you just said, what if I come up with an app that, and by the way, this is already in production. If I come up with an app that will reward engagement or create engagement for people in my group and my group only, right? Now, I've created a mass personalized approach for my individual audiences that possibly nobody else has. The same thing with HighLevel. What's the difference between my HighLevel and your HighLevel? if we're both white labeling and everything else. Usually it's the person and usually the niche you serve and probably some little insides of what yours does that the other one doesn't, right? What bonuses does it come with? Now imagine your bonuses come with apps that are specifically niche tailored to help your customers. Talk about standing out. And you're now, while everybody's still pitching the same white label high level, here you are pitching white label plus Vit's version of it. And it comes with all these additional apps that are meant for Vit's people, whether it's like podcasters or whether it's like book writers or whether it's like anybody else. Well, how do you stand out and how does your package per se is very customized to those individuals? And that's the way you got to really start thinking about it. But think of it even further than that. We're talking about mostly high level. Again, it's our favorite tool. We love it. It's like, I promote it from like, and again, I would never promote something that I don't physically use. I run 4 businesses, all run through high level. I'm able to do it with a very small staff, incredibly low overhead, because we're running it all through high level AI automations, vibe coded apps, you name it. And I got to be honest, it was hysterical. Like the vibe coding thing is so real that one day I got completely frustrated because I was paying $15 a month for an app that literally just added a button to a calendar. Like it added a calendar event button to a page or to an email. I'm like, this is stupid. This is absolutely ludicrous. I'm paying $15 a month for this stupid feature. Why don't I vibe code it? So I went in, I told it exactly what I want. I vibe coded the app and now I give it away for free. Because it's like, why was I paying for this? This was the most ridiculous thing to pay for. It literally creates the button in like minutes. And it took me 5 minutes to vibe code. 5.
So with vibe coding, just I'm not sure if we've covered that bit, but just to make it clear, this is when you, instead of learning how to code and you're coding it, you're talking to AI and you're saying, hey, generate this code, create this code. There are apps on the market like Lovable. What goes into, like if somebody wanted to have a crack at it, somebody's listening right now, let me have a crack at it. What should they do? What would be like the easiest, quickest way to have a go and try it out? Is that like some recommended
I will tell you, like all of them are pretty good. There's about 4 major players right now in this game, but probably a few more that are popping up, right? So first and foremost is Lovable. Lovable AI is our recommended because it's the easiest to learn in our opinion. It has a lot less breakages. And honestly, it like our vibe code community is completely free. You guys should join it. Again, there's no nothing. Like I said, I am completely passionate about helping people out. We do have VIP upgrades, but honestly, that's for people that are really serious and want to take their apps to the next level. But for anybody just beginning, join the vibe coding community. It comes with a free course on how to do things. We also have the YouTube channel also has how to vibe code. Me and Mario Alduis, which I know you know well. Me and Mario have been vibe coding every Friday for God knows how many Fridays at this point. So we have example of us using this. We have examples of us building it out. Now, I will tell you that 4 programs, Lovable AI is our primary and what we go to. There is Base 44, there is Replit, and there is Bolt.new. All good. All good. There is nothing wrong with any of them. Again, but for the ease of use and what you're trying to do, I just find Lovable the fastest and easiest one. And now they had this pretty big upgrade, which was always the biggest issues with people starting to vibe code, was that they could not figure out the database part of it, which is like whenever you build an app, you need storage or you need sign in, and that's always done through a database. And it used to be the hardest things ever to do that. Now, when you do it in Lovable and Replit and some of the other ones, they automatically ask you, would you like a database? And it will create it automatically for you. Before
nice.
You would create it, but you would have to ask for it. And it would almost like you would be building all this incredible app and then have to go backwards and rebuild everything from scratch because you forgot your database. The second thing that they all decided to do was start adding AI. So now it asks you, like, would you like AI to add to this? But the funny thing is, when you say yes, it doesn't add AI to the entire app. You got to also be very clear on where you want it. But we go over this. That's why we have a little bit of instruction. Like we have about 2 hours of courses inside the free community that you can take, again, completely free. And Kayla, Mario, and I do special guests in Devon. Those are all people like we kind of paired up with to get this free community out. And literally, we just hosted in Lisbon at the Web Summit. We did a live coding event. This is a 70,000 person event. I don't know if you've ever. It's insane. I've never seen an event like this in my whole entire life. It was 70,000 people.
Yeah.
And it was like stadium. That's how big it was.
Level Up in Dallas, that was 1,200 of us, and we're raving about it. And that's 70,000 there. Wow.
70,000. We had an event that was inside of a hotel that was 5 minutes away from the actual event. We probably had close to 100, because we only had a small venue. We couldn't host a lot of people. So we probably could hold about 50, and we had pretty much about 150 altogether between 3 different sessions.
It's kind of like leveraging off the fact that there's this big event happening, so I'm going to throw a lot smaller. Yeah, smart.
Yeah, and we did. And again, it was very short notice. It was very last minute. We also got called out from stage. The lovable AI CEO, Anton, was actually the keynote speaker. And he mentioned that we were having a hackathon. And we hosted it. So it was pretty cool in front of 70,000 people getting called out. It was pretty awesome.
That's pretty.
And then we had people from all over the world, literally all over the world, show up and building apps. People were walking away with apps. People were cheering. They rated ours like one of the best side events there was in the entire Web Summit. So we had a lot of really good notions. And then we're actually going to be holding a workshop and a challenge in the next 2 weeks. So just stay tuned to the YouTube channel, or more importantly, Facebook. We're going to announce it there. I would love for anybody to come. But the craziest part about all this was that you had literally people with no absolute tech experience building apps, because all they had to do was build it in the right way. We actually, believe it or not, we created an app that builds apps. So what we did is we created the app that would help come up with a nice prompt for AI based on our specifications of what we know works. So you literally fill that out. Once you fill that out, it gives you the prompt that you need to use. All you got to do is copy and paste it. And then there's some other nuances that we teach that are very specific to our little VIP community, or our very regular community, I should say. But it really is that. And if you go on the YouTube channel, there's even one where I built a very interactive quiz and I tie it back to HighLevel. We're going to do another video that's going to be released soon, where we are using purchasing and doing the purchasing of the app inside of HighLevel, and then creating it through a webhook, and then adding it to the app that we created in Lovable. So we're using HighLevel and Lovable very interchangeably, and we love doing it because I think there's such a synergy there. You could do your marketing on HighLevel and publish your app and promote your app, and then have members going back and forth. Very, very cool to do.
So the big idea of all this is you've got a problem, you're trying to solve it. An app doesn't exist to solve that problem. You create an app for it. And now I've got a lot of questions. I'm sure the guys listening have a lot of questions. So let's say you build one. Now, the commercialization aspect of it, pros and cons, as opposed to if you get an encoder who, you know what you put in the code, you understand it and everything, you'll let an AI to build the code. And sometimes the code may be a little bit wonky until you dig into it. Then that kind of opens the whole question of responsibility over something that you then sell and commercialize. I'm interested to know your thoughts on that. And then also, how do you then manage it ongoing? Like, how scalable is this?
Pretty scalable. So let's talk about a lot of those incredible questions. So let's talk about a few of them, right? So let's talk about what it was beforehand. If you wanted to design an app just to get it to demo into an MVP, which is your most viable product, or the first initial version of it, you would have spent close to like 250,000 north of this. And then you might get a working app in 6 to 8 months for the most viable production, meaning it wouldn't be out for the public just yet. And throughout that process, one, you would have to worry about what's called scope creep of the project kind of growing on its own because you needed other things to connect and doing all of this. Two, developers staying consistent and not quitting on you or moving on to a different project, or not being able to fix a bug and giving up and just going radio silent. I spent in just getting a viable product to a testing phase close to $30,000 in 3 months. And I literally couldn't even look at the app. It didn't do anything. And these were pretty smart programmers from MIT and everything else. That's what the world was prior. Versus, hey, I want a button. I don't want to pay $15 for an app. And I want a button on my calendar, or that has this calendar event. And I want it done quickly, and I want it now. And let me see if this is even something I can build. Hey, AI, build me an app that creates a calendar event button, and that I can put it in my email and on my website. Enter.
Right, like the R2 event thing.
Exactly, right? And then I'm done. And it has the button. It did. It worked. Holy crap. It's only for me right now. Can I scale it? Yes. Please create a sign-in and storage for other members. Fantastic. It creates it. Now I have something there. Well, let's make it live. Hit publish. Okay, well, crap. What do I do if this grows? Well, guess what? It has a database, and you pay as you grow inside of Lovable. Now, the only caveats and the things for all the apps that we launched, notice that I said I process payments where? In HighLevel. Why do I do that? Because of the security. Security in all of these apps. I don't care which one it is. Replit, Lovable, Base 44, Bolt.new. Security is the bigger issue because security is something that when you build an app, you spend a ridiculous amount of money for. But If I have only like names and emails and all the processing and all the other information is inside of my high level, which is secure behind two-factor, has a much more robust security system, then I'm much more comfortable to do that. And if you can master both, then scalability is not a question, and neither is security. Because the three biggest costs that you're going to have when your app starts growing and designing is one, maintenance of the database and the storage. That's always going to be like a price, but that scales as you grow. So by the time you're up to 100 members or 200 members, you won't be worrying about that part. The second thing that costs you money is processing. Processing is how heavy does the app use processing power, server power, and everything else. So believe it or not, it depends all mostly on the app. If the app's very simple, solves one particular problem, doesn't use a lot of AI, and you can easily get it in 1 to 2 seconds, your processing is always going to be low. Now, if your app does 17 different freaking things and it's like you're making all these crazy things and it does all this, your processing cost is going to be higher because you're using a lot more bandwidth, you're using a lot more processing speed and everything else. Layman's terms is don't build the next Facebook, don't build the next high level, leverage those tools, build the next micro SaaS, build the next, this thing does one thing, this thing does that thing, this thing does that. Event calendars. Wouldn't it be nice if we had an event calendar that we can use in high level and just paste it somewhere? Well, guess what I did? I built an event calendar. I put all my events and then just have it embedded inside of a web page. Can never do that before. Well, now I got the ability to do that, build my own event calendar app. You see what I'm saying? There's a bunch of things you can do in order to do that. Just when you're doing, at least for now, two things you have to worry about is don't build 17 features. Our recommendation is 3 features at the most, and you're solving one core problem. If you're solving one core problem and you're doing 3 features at the most, guess what? You're automatically going to have a winner of an app, because what is the number one complaint even with high level? Do you know what the number one complaint is? I get it every single day.
The certain things are still a bit of a skateboard.
A little bit of a skateboard, not necessarily, but what's the number one complaint of any new user or even current user in there? That high level is too wide.
Overwhelmed. There's just so much.
Overwhelmed and complicated. Guess what they say about Keep? Guess what they say about ClickFunnels? Guess what they say about all that? Number one complaint of any big apps that are out there, overwhelmed and complicated. So if you're playing the micro SaaS game,
which is why Infusion turned into being a confusion soft.
That's right. Because people's biggest complaint was, I go in, I don't even know where to start. And even now, why high level and me and Matt talk about this all the time, like, how do you make it non-confusing to new users? Like, where do they start? And that's why high levels invested so much money into onboarding, and it's brilliant because the more you better you onboard the customer, the longevity and your churn rate decreases. But again, imagine you're solving one ad event, like you mentioned, is a multi-million-dollar company, and it solved the one freaking problem. One problem. Podium, before high level. Podium put a chat widget on your site. One problem. You see what I'm saying? The micro apps is where it's at. There's a lot of micro apps that make a lot of money. And if the more niche specific your app is, the more money you can charge. You see what I'm saying? Because if like it solves, let's say that like you solve a major problem for all podcasters, one bigger problem, you could charge a premium for that service because you're solving that one problem that is annoying to everybody else. And then it's just finding the price point of like, how annoying is it? Is it Netflix annoying? Or is it like 97, 297, 497, $1,000 annoying? You know what I'm saying? And depending on the size of the annoyance is whether or not people are willing to pay that money. And that's another thing I learned to the corporate side. The corporate side, we call it the annoyance level pricing. The annoyance level pricing is, am I willing to pay $1,000 or something to get solved? Because I don't want to deal with that. And that costs me $3,000. That one annoyance problem or that one problem costs me more money. And am I willing to pay what that money is? So a lot of the apps that we've been publishing and launching, $5, $10, and it solves one problem. But again, imagine if you take a conversation back, right? How do I stand out in the world of a gazillion white labels? It's a question we get all the time. Like, how's my high level going to be different? Well, one, it's you. It's your high level. So you make it with your personality because at the end of the day, people are going to buy from you. Well, the second thing is, what bonuses can you add that are very specific to solving that person's need? Well, what if mine came with 3 different micro apps that solve very common problems that everybody hates that are super annoying, but they're free to you just for coming into my white level? Holy crap. Now I just differentiated myself.
Now, while we're nerding out here, an app, then we've got an integrator like Zapier, what's used, a lot of people used to use. Over the last year or so, N8N has become a real big thing. I know you're a big fan of N8N, but now HighLevel has released its own thing. Where do you see that going, and why do you still love N8N so much?
That's a great question. So same reason why I love HighLevel for HighLevel. HighLevel is very good at doing a lot of things. It really kind of peaks in certain things. Like obviously the voice to chat, it does incredibly well. The membership area is starting to really come along. The calendar functions, the automation's by far one of the best automation suites ever. I mean, when I got HighLevel, I don't know about you, but my Zapier build like almost went to nil because of all these things we can do internally inside. Now, when it comes to NAN, I think NAN is really mastering the game. And I could tell you, when I went into an NAN like show and I met with the developers and everything else, the reason why they're going to be around for a very long time is they're already working with Fortune 100 companies because they do something that was really brilliant. They allow you to self-host. So all these companies like banks and everything else would never use a third-party software because of all the security. But if I can host my own NAN service and solution inside my own server, all my security issues go away and I get the power of NAN behind me. So I don't think NAN's going to, NAN, the way HighLevel is exceeding at a lot of things, I think NAN's going to do the same. Now, will it almost be like Zapier? There are still situations where I still use Zapier because Zapier just has things that HighLevel doesn't yet. That's all it is. Or I'll use NAN because, and again, NAN has a lot more features as of now that HighLevel doesn't. I think it's a great pathway because they're trying to become an all-in-one solution where we have to go to less apps. That's always been the goal. But I think in certain situations, you're still going to be doing both. I think it's a good path. I think they got a long way to go. I mean, we're so used to NAN at this point that NAN does so much. I mean, we built businesses around it. That's how big NAN is, where it's just automatically, everything's done automatically on autopilot, done with a lot of care and creativity in that space. And I think NAN, as far as an automation subtool, is amazing. I think it works incredibly in conjunction with HighLevel. And I think it makes HighLevel do things that HighLevel wants to do themselves. I think HighLevel's on its way to get there. And the fact that HighLevel always listens to its audience, I think it's going to have some longevity. I think it's just like, I'm in the beta. I've been testing it. We definitely needed to do a lot more based on what we're used to. And I've given them all the use cases. I'm like, here's my NAN workflows. Literally, I've given them all my workflows of this is what I do now. Can you make this happen? But the developers has assured me that it's going to come. They're going to come incredibly close in the next couple of months on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It always just comes down to the use case and what you need to get done. So if you can't get it done there, then you use something else. I know I've got a vendor that I'm working. Well, one of my clients got a vendor from New Zealand, and they do this specialized 3D shopping experience when you're buying these houses on like a trailers, houses on like a caravan, not caravans, like a container unit that sits on a trailer. Anyway,
for sure.
Right? So this company is specialized in helping the tiny home industry with this 3D model that you can embed on your website, and then basically the shoppers can go in and look at it and configure it and stuff. And the guy sent me the webhook data, and the data comes in with all the individual items, but they have spaces between. They don't have the underscore. So HighLevel doesn't take it. If there's a gap between the characters, it's a problem. So I had to work around it and then pass it through N8N and then have this script that actually rewrites the webhook data into something that can be picked up by HighLevel. So this is what it comes down to when you start working with businesses that need something custom, right? So I was going to actually follow up on the topic of building a custom app where now you've got a thing of MCP, and then in the ideal sense and where it's all going anyway is we are going to have this AI assistant, voice controlled AI assistant in our phone or whatever that you just talk to and say, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And that's where that will then trigger thing to pass through the 100%. MCP server to go into HighLevel, to go into your maybe a custom level app, and then the data passes back and does things, right? This is where it's all going. Sounds super nerdy, sounds very techy. But is this something that is nerdy, or is this something, I mean, it is nerdy, but let me phrase this question.
Well, Vid, I hate to break it to you, but it's already happening. So
is this, can we get away not having to worry about this? Do the listeners not have to worry about it? Or is it like, oh no, is this kind of like where it's all going and you kind of have to start looking into that?
You have to start looking into it because like I have an agent now that does the majority of my things based off of voice. We use a combination of HighLevel, NAN, Telegram, and basically we give the assistants a bunch of stuff. Some things are also on timers where every day it does certain things and it goes through a bunch of tasks, and we keep advancing on this. So it's not like we're slowing down. We keep building agents that are getting better and better at what they do. So we have a ton of agents that are consistently working. like I said, we built businesses around some of these where you hit a button and all this stuff gets done for you. I don't think it's a time to slow down, because here's, again, another prediction. AI is obviously not going away. There's going to be a world where we are going to always be the conductors of AI, because what AI doesn't do is, one, it doesn't have the creativity in the brain that we need to start it, right? And secondly, it doesn't know how to put all the things you need together in order to make something work. So I believe that there is going to be a rise of AI conductors, and the people that have figured out how to conduct AI and like how to kind of navigate and make them all work together. Because believe it or not, 97% of the population still using AI has a glorified Google search, where it's like your doctor, your therapist, your school teacher, your whatever it is. About 3 to 5% are using AI automations at the NAN level, creating automations for their agency and so forth. 3 to 5%, that's it. And about 1% are creating what I call entire nervous systems. Nervous systems is where it's almost like you hit one button and then the AI instructs other AI, and then the AI then builds on the AI. And now it's just like a world of its own, and it gets very matrixy, right? About less than 1% are doing that in the world right now. And that's where the magic is going to be. Because at the end of the day, it's really cool that you got your AI writing some posts for you. But wouldn't it be really cool if it came up with a post, another AI validated if it sounds like you, another AI removed all the AI slop, another AI created images, and another AI finally made the post after it's been approved. Now, you're talking about AI segments and AI agents, and you hear Sam Altman saying and talking about it all the time. That's the owner of OpenAI. And he says that the agents, it's where the future is going to go to. And eventually, 3 years from now, when the robots kind of catch up and kind of seeing all the robots take off, there's some that are already like showing up at people's houses.
You're literally going to have a note in your N8N to do something, message passed on to a robot to go 100%. And do something. Yeah, it's nuts.
And it already is happening in a micro fraction level. So
like
there used to be something called IFFT, and I'm aging myself a little bit here, but
if this, then that.
Yeah. And then basically you can create programs in your phone that if you hit a button, all your lights turn on inside your home, the computer turns on, and you can have all these things happen. We are not very far from to what you said. You wake up in the morning, you hit a button on your phone or on your watch, and it starts your whole entire house. Your robot wakes up, your coffee starts, which, by the way, I have that, or not my robot, but at least my coffee starts. I have that all on timers, all on different things, and it's creating all of that. So that is going to be the future where we have things.
The big thing with all this, profitability in business, because everything costs money, and human labor costs money, and it's about profitability and speed. And so, who did I speak to? I was at a short networking Zoom call earlier with some business owners who just learning about AI. And I said to them, look, I predict I'm already feeling it. I'm seeing in the industry, there's starting to be a bit more of an uptick from businesses starting to actually be more proactive. I mean, even you guys are now talking about how you're using ChatGPT. That year ago, I was the one that was trying to explain it to you. I predict after this period of, we always have Black Friday, Christmas, New Year's is like New Year's resolutions. A lot of business owners tend to think, okay, what am I going to do different? How am I going to finally break it and be successful? Over the Christmas time is also the time where we get to sit down and relax a little bit, and we get to actually maybe consume some material that we don't normally have time to dig into. I predict next year is going to be that breaking point where we finally see a big adoption. Those businesses that will adopt the AI and start implementing all these things will increase profitability because they're going to save a lot of money. Yes, I'm going to pay money for the tokens and stuff, but in comparison to paying for labor or even just having to manage somebody to do some things, it's just going to be nuts. So it's not negotiable anymore. It's both frightening
it's really not. I mean,
and exciting.
Well, it is. And it's like I said, this is why we're so big. We don't want any businesses being left behind. This is why we got really big on creating the vibe coding community. Whether you're going into the free community for HighLevel, which we ridiculously promote, it's free, tons of resources. My God, if you're not in there, you're missing out. And then you have the vibe coding community if you want to go that route. Any route that you want to take that, again, will put you on the edge of catching up, because everybody's always worried, oh, it's too late. It is not too late. 97% glorified, remember, glorified chat widget that like people are just asking, Googling. They're Googling inside of ChatGPT. My wife does it all the time. It drives me bananas. But it's funny because I know what she's doing and it does make it easier. She's getting the answers that she wants, all of that. But then you also have on the other side of all this, you have the ability of creating your own apps and building all this other stuff. And maybe a small percentage of the population is doing this. You can easily get the edge on other people because you're taking the initial steps. Literally, it is not that hard. 9-year-old to 94-year-old, not exaggerating. That's the actual range. And they produced working apps when they left the workshops or when they came into the community and doing whatever else. Engage in communities that are provided to you for free. Don't take free for granted. I think that's what it is. Sometimes I'm like, I should just charge. Maybe people will take it more seriously. And I should charge maybe more because I know the more money people invest, the more they'll get it in there. But regardless of which, jump on this right away because I think the problem is going to be is that it will get to a point where the curve is going to get too steep and you can't get in. But because it's still so early on, you have plenty of ways to get in there. And I'm not giving you one, I'm giving you two. HighLevel is a beast. It is not going anywhere. There are plenty. I literally just met somebody yesterday who we're building something out for. First in their industry. Never heard of anything like it. They're completely niched down. They already have a batch of clients. They're going to charge a premium amount of money for their HighLevel instance. But their HighLevel instance, guess what it comes with? A very personalized thing that only this business does for this business. And now they have it all packaged in a template. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I'm like, this is brilliant. They have people on a waiting list that are eagerly waiting to pay north of, I think it's a total of like 10 to 20,000 they're paying per month just to have this thing. That's how insane this is. And they're working a full-time job, but in their full-time job, they were solving this issue and they weren't getting the answers that they wanted. So they decided to make a little side agency and started doing all this. So there is really nothing that can't be done. We had a 9-year-old that won the hackathon for Lovable because they created how to find people to game with online, but they have to pass what they call the cool test because they didn't want any creepers around or any kind of adults. So there's all these like questions that are very relatable to kids that only kids would know the answers to. And then there's an age verification and they have to put their school ID in and they have to show a picture and they have to do a live video recording. These kids were brilliant of like how to make it safe for kids where it's only the community. And like, they have all these rules. If you curse, you're out. If you're this, you're out. And they won first place. And they were like 9 years old. There were two kids, 9 years old. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And here I am. I'm like trying to teach my kid this. And I'm like, this is what they did. Did you see how easy it was? But it just goes to show you about on the different things. We had another kid, I think he was 12 years old, that made a Pokemon, because my son always yells at me, inventory, where he would scan the card, it would load the image, and then it would write like what it was and everything else and how much it was worth. It was crazy. Things that I didn't even know were possible this kid was doing. And he was like 13 years old. So again, I say this to say that there really is no excuse to jump in. One, the community is free. Level will cost you about $20 a month. HighLevel, you get a 30-day free trial. You get a $97 plan. You get 3 accounts with it. I mean, it's insanity. Like there is so much room for you to go out doing something. And people are like, what should I sell? Sell the thing that solves the problem for the most. And again, everybody's like, well, I'm going to do this. And the list goes on. And I'm like, how about just focus on 2 things and try to get sold and try to get those selling and then worry about everything else afterwards. So it's stuff like that make it very interesting, but it's not too late for anybody to jump in. Your tolerance for technology, you have to grow to it and you have to be a little patient and you just have to like kind of move forward with it. And honestly, I would not put it beyond anybody to build the next $1 billion apps. And 2 major articles that just happened. One was released in the Times, I believe. And it said, if we do this right, the parents of today's kids will be building the next billionaires based on the skill set that they know. If things like vibe coding and creativity and like problem solving and understanding those 3 gaps, that will happen. And Sam Altman again just said, and I believe it was a couple of other people, I think it was even the person from NVIDIA, the CEO, we are in the age where a person can become a billionaire or a millionaire by themselves, meaning a solo person can do this because they can launch apps like this, get buyouts or whatever else. So we are on that age. And so if that doesn't motivate you to like kind of going out and doing that, and if the age gaps that I told you about doesn't, and the fact that it's free and it costs only $20 a month doesn't really motivate you, then you're just going to be very content on where you are. And that's perfectly fine to be content where you are. But if you want more and this is not enough, that this is like, you have to take the plunge. You have to take the plunge.
Well, it's also, I mean, if you might be comfortable to have enough and that's cool, but like how long will you sustain having just enough before all the other competitors who are going to be implemented is actually going to squeeze out and take even that little bit that you're comfortable with. So that's why I say it's almost like it's non-negotiable. We're in this crazy like time where it's like scary, but also like exciting, and it's easy to get lost in it as well because there's just so much. Do you have any tips on that? Like, how do you adopt AI without losing yourself in it?
Stop watching. So, who was I talking this to? Keaton. I don't know if Keaton Walker, but an incredible human being. Love that guy.
He's one of the biggest affiliates for HighLevel. Yeah, he's got strong channels.
And he's such a real person. And we were talking about this. Here's what's funny about the world that we live in, right? We live in a very small bubble, like all the marketers and everybody that's in HighLevel. We are in a very loud atmosphere. So what's happening is because everybody's so loud about, oh, I just made this and I just did this and my customer is this, and we are bombarded with the algorithm of Facebook and Instagram that are constantly feeding us.
Literally last 2 days, I'm like, I'm taking a break. I'm not looking. Every time I open my Facebook, it's, I don't know, Mario posts something or somebody posts something, like, I can't. It's just,
it's a lot, and it's a lot to manage through. And they're like, and they're telling us Facebook wants us to post literally, it's 5 posts a day, 7 reels, and like 2 something. And I like laugh at it. I'm like, man, I mean, my life is way too short to do all that. But what I will tell you is shut the social media off for a little bit and take a walk outside, go to the local store, visit your local grocery area, visit your local market area, walk in some stores, have real conversations with real people outside of your little circle of influence of whatever the algorithm is feeding you. There is a mass universe that does not know about AI, that is not using voice AI, doesn't know what vibe coding even is, doesn't even know that you can create your own app in minutes to solve probably the most important problem for them. There is literally, if you literally just go out there and explore the universe, I am telling you a fact. I'm in a different country now. I'm in our secondary home in a small island. I normally am in New Jersey. I'm in here. And I go down there and I have conversations with the local people, man. It is mind-blowing. They have no idea what even ChatGPT is. I'm telling you, 97% of the population is using glorified search. 3 to 5 are using AI automations. 1% are building apps. It's not that hard, folks. You can literally go in there and sell a box of goods that you think everybody knows about, that literally I'm telling you no one knows about. But because we live in such an algorithmically fed area inside of our lives right now, you are being fed that everybody knows about this. And I'm telling you, the world's a lot bigger than what the algorithm is telling you. It's putting you into a small, very loud bubble that you think everybody's doing all these things and, oh, this person's doing that, this person, they're not.
It makes you feel like you're missing out or like you're behind or something. That's for me anyway. This year has been like that. So I'm realizing that, and I'm taking it a little bit more of a distance approach. I mean, the last few days I had to anyway, because it just like it really got to me.
I'm telling you, I struggle posting every day. I really do. I'm trying to really break into Facebook, and I don't think I'm that interesting to talk about something every day. And 2 was, even if I was, I don't want to, I get tired. I like, believe it or not, even coming up with content is very exhausting. Doing it, being able to be on camera and then still having to be like a dad and a husband, like outside of this, it gets like overwhelming. And every now and again, you have to take a break. And this morning, I literally enjoyed some toast, watching the sunrise, drinking a little bit of coffee, man. And I was in bliss. I put my phone in it was a completely different room. And then and that's how I planned my day. I wrote everything down. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want to do. Just a little time to myself and everything else. But I'm telling you, if you just do this, if you call me a liar, just go down to your local area. Everybody has a local area where everybody kind of gathers. Go into a shop and just have a conversation with the business owner. Not salesy, not anything. Hey, I'm doing market research. I just want to ask you a couple questions. This is not a gimmick or anything. I just want to talk to business owners. And do you know about these following things? Do you know about voice or chat? Do you know what those things are and how they help every business out? Yes or no? Let them just answer the question. Then be like, okay, do you know about vibe coding apps or anything? First of all, nobody will know about vibe coding apps. Every customer from here to like New Jersey, I've asked, and not one person knows. They look at me like I have 4 heads. They're like, well, you can't believe you need a programming team. Like, and I keep having these conversations is the amount of knowledge that's not there. You will be utterly like blown away by the level of knowledge that you think people have that they do not. And I'm saying, but honestly, it's a massive game changer because like, I'm telling you, you are being fed the algorithm like we all are, like everything from Instagram, Facebook to all these other things. It's a very small universe to get interaction. I'm telling you, just step out of it for a hot minute and just search around. You're going to be blown away by the lack of what you think people know.
I mean, let's face it, it's easy, right? Because it's like easy to go back because we got mutual friends and it's almost there's these inside the jokes at this point is you got Pasito. He's really good at it, by the way. He always throws something out. Oh, that's the other thing from last week. And it's like, you want to be part of that community too at the same time. So yeah, finding that balance, that's the
Yeah,
that's
and
the
I'm not
challenge.
saying I'm just saying go down and just check it out. Like just check out the other side of the universe that is
Yeah,
not marketing related, because that's also where you're going to find your customers, where you're going to have your money
exactly.
opportunities, and having conversations with real people, understanding that they're trying to solve certain problems. That's how you're going to get these app ideas. Because if you're going to go in and you're going to just focus on the sale and you're not really listening to the problem, you're always going to be the person that's not listening to the main problem. Because when you solve a small problem, it's one thing. When you solve a continuous problem that everybody's having, that's the game changer and that's the money maker. And honestly, I've built businesses around that. I've got 4 businesses. They're all wildly successful. And again, I'm out here. I haven't posted in like a few days. My team's been posting the last 6 weeks of videos have been all pre-done. I haven't done anything. I've been literally traveling like Lisbon here and there, doing
Nice.
whatever it is. That's not a flex. The flex, somebody told me the biggest flex was when you don't have to open up your laptop. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I don't have that flex yet. But I have enough of a flex where I can say, all right, I know my team is handling certain things. I don't have to worry about all these other things. I can worry about growing the business, building some more cool stuff, going out and creating content. But the real strong flex one day will be when I don't even have to open up the laptop. That's going to be where I know I've made it. You know what I'm saying? And that's like kind of the goal of where I'm at, but of what I'm trying to achieve. And it's going to be the same thing for everybody else. You don't complete with a me that's been trying to do that. I've been doing this for 20 years, like a little bit different. And I've only been doing YouTube for the last 3, but I hustle. Like I'm doing like 3 to 4 videos a day. My first videos suck. They got no views. You have to go through the grind before you literally have to go through the suck. I don't know how else to describe it, but there is so much of a light at the end of that tunnel if you're just willing to go through the grind a little bit. And I have so much respect for people that grind. I don't want people to grind hard. I want you to grind and do things. I just don't want you to do it hard. And if there's a way or there's a video or there's some kind of lesson you guys need, throw it on my YouTube channel, put it in the community, do whatever else. We'll make it for you. Because again, my goal is to educate as many people as possible to make it so it's so easy for them. They don't have to think about it when they're doing the work, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
But it is
I
like
love it.
a prime time to jump in, man. I hope more and more people jump on this thing. It's insane.
Prime time. So guys, if you want to learn more about vibe coding, about all these cool stuff that we talked about, head over to highlevelexperience.com/Nuno. I'll have all the links in there. If you scroll below the fold, there's a couple of extra lead magnets that I've got. And obviously big shout out is to our sponsors who make the show possible. So make sure you check them out as well. They do have some special offers as well for you guys. But yeah, highlevelexperience.com/Nuno. So you can check out Nuno's course, Nuno's community, and get into vibe coding, because honestly, it's a big opportunity. I mean, I regret to say, but like Mario, he invited me to his thing. It was like 2 months ago before Level Up. I think a month before Level Up. I got excited, but then I realized I was just over ambitious because just all the other stuff on my plate. So I just never really fully dived into it. But I'm realizing I'd really have to. So, but yeah, so guys, just check it out, because it's going to be the next big thing, and I truly believe in it, because it gives you that competitive edge where you can go to, like you said, go to small business owners, go to the industry that maybe even you've been in that industry, you've had a career in that industry, now you've branched out, you wanted to start your own business, now you got your high level and you're trying to help that industry. So you've got the insights, you've got the know-how. Just go back out there, just see what's current, what are they facing now. A lot of the problems are still like timeless as well, and they haven't been solved yet. And you can solve it with creating a custom app, vibe code it, and Bob's your uncle. Like before you know it, you could have something that could really skyrocket your business. So Nuno, I know you got to go. We had a busy day. I'm wrapping up my day. I appreciate you. I literally have so many cool questions. I broke it down into like basic, more experienced, and like super advanced coders and vibe coders. We didn't get down to it because we're having so much fun already. So we may have to do it again. I don't know. But mate,
I'm always down. Anytime you want anything that I can do to help the community, more importantly, to ensure, like I said, spreading that knowledge, man. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say thank you so much, mate, for not having to meet you before. You know, I've enjoyed having you on. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and sharing your story as well, and passing on the knowledge to the guys listening, because there's a big pie for all of us to bite into, and it's just seeing the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Vet. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. And like I said, looking forward to doing it again for you.
Excellent. All right, guys. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode on the HighLevel Experience. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would also benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS high level, please go to highlevelexperience.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.